Hey, my name is Jobby, and we're looking at the Transformers masterpiece MP-51 Arcee. Need an appropriately pink drink for this one. But before we get into the shit, the painting and the sculpting on the car mode isn't bad actually. Looks animation accurate, it's sleek, really like the colors here. Just a generally good car mode and refreshingly G1 accurate, especially after the Nice Sisters. Bottom of the car mode is a mess as expected, and coincidentally this car mode also has a pussy. Nah. This thing doesn't deserve my coom. Car mode's got a nice finish, and as far as I can tell, every surface is painted, but thankfully, the paint job is pretty durable. At least Takara got better with that. And thankfully, the car mode holds together very well. And despite the mess on the bottom, the car rolls pretty well. Now you might be wondering why I open up the video so negatively. How could there possibly be any complaints I have with this figure when the car mode is so well done? It's even got a fully detailed interior. I suppose you'll find out after this size comparison. Here's Figma-matic Economy, SH Monster Arts Godzilla, Masterpiece MP-10 Optimus Prime, a relic from a bygone era. My previous review, the Fans Toys Hannibal, not Fortress Maximus, and the Big Firebird Nice. I know that this is the CDL01 RC. Completely inoffensive car mode. It's as RC as RC can get, and I love it for it. But I just wish that the transformation didn't result in such a mess. Also, for frick's sake, Takara, invest in a goddamn booklet. Where is all that extra money going to? Links in the description if you want one for yourself. And links in the description to my Patreon. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. I could not even think about purchasing figures that I know will be disappointing without the help of you guys. So here's all your names during the alleged transformation. And here we have the robot mode. Tastes like white girl. You guys remember the earlier Transformers masterpiece figures? MP-10, MP-11, even MP-13. But I never had Sideswipe. Those figures were great for a variety of reasons, except MP-11. But even MP-11, when you transform that figure, you get a sense of completeness. And even though the robot mode wasn't the best, at least you knew that you did it right. But that feeling has completely gone out the window with Arcee. What even is this backpack? I've looked at the instructions, I played with this thing several times, and it just doesn't look right. And yet it is. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, you might want to get your head checked, you brainwashed Transformers fan! Not everything that Takara shits out is gold. I can completely accept that it's impossible for us to get a completely cartoon-accurate Arcee with those little back pods, but I'm still holding out hope, TBH. But this cannot have been the best that Takara could do. It wouldn't be so offensive if this weren't under the Transformers Masterpiece label. The Transformers Masterpiece line should be reserved for the best of the best that Takara can put out. What kind of world do we live in when the Transformers Masterpiece line is of worse quality than the cheaper mainline figures? I'm really complaining about the important shit in life. But okay, back kibble, whatever. We'll just have to live with it. At least the front of the figure should look good, right? Admittedly, she doesn't look completely awful, but she does look quite off. Not cartoon accurate, so it goes against the modern masterpiece design philosophy, but she does look like a futile attempt at sexiness. And I thought the fans' toys Rouge was try hard. This figure sacrifices cartoon accuracy for some awkward looking curves and a chest that sits a bit too low on the body. I'm definitely not the first one to point that out. I honestly think that this chest design was a failed attempt to make her titties perky, because perky titties, sexy, big booty, sexy, 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 sexy. That's all Generation 1 Arcee is nowadays, huh? I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you're gonna be horny, do it right. But perhaps beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I only give Nice a pass because I think she's very attractive. Who knows? Maybe there are people out there who are sexually attracted to Junji Ito characters. Why do I even have to ask? The face sculpt is like some Ed Gein Buffalo Bill nightmare. Should have mentioned Buffalo Bill in the previous review now that I think about it. What I'm trying to say is this looks like an unappealing caricature of a supermodel. And I might actually have some insight to the design process for this figure. If you didn't know, I quite like drawing cute girls. But the first time I ever drew a female, it was around the 5th grade. I knew that I liked cute girls, but I couldn't quite put that beauty onto paper. So I drew what I thought I'd like, kind of feeling it out. And at the end of it all, I never want to look at it again. That's pretty much this figure. And this is my first drawing of a girl. Feel free to comment about my lack of a father figure. And her alternate faces don't fare much better. Open up her noggin, untab her face. Now let's take a look at this first. So take the same face and attach it to this back slot as opposed to this one. And that should give enough clearance for the built-in visor to cover her eyes. Admittedly, this does look a lot better. The less of her face I can see, the better. In addition to this unreadable expression, you get a smiling face, sad face, and these faces are the ultimate definition of dull surprise. Completely unreadable, you have to actually look in the instructions to see what the hell the emotions are. Anyone remember that? Maybe should have saved this one for Halloween. But again, I suppose beauty is in the eye of the beholder. My excessive body shaming might come off as insensitive to some people, but I don't care. Eat a sandwich, get some fuller cheeks, and get a lift for Primus' sake. But what this figure lacks in aesthetic, she makes up for with accessories. Oh, I'm out. You get a tiny pea shooter, plugs right into her right hand, but not her left hand. There's only one peg on this thing. You can store it in the shoulder if you want to. It even comes with its own effect part. You could tell this effect part belongs to this gun because of the hole. Fits right onto the barrel. Admittedly, it looks good. The gun is surprisingly detailed, but her second gun is surprisingly undetailed. Looks like molded chewed bubblegum. Also plugs into her hands, but this time you get the option of plugging it into her left hand. Wrap the fingers around, of course. Also comes with its own effect part, and you know this one belongs to this gun because it's a perfect fit. Not her best weapon. I prefer keeping this stored in this included holster. And the holster can plug right into her weirdly sculpted hip. Love me some weapon storage. Gotta find some good in this car crash. And her final weapon, a pretty cool looking rifle. Not as detailed as that first blaster, but the different shades of pink really add something. It can plug into any of her hands, and it also comes with its own effect part. The longest one of the set. I mean, I like it, but I still prefer that initial blaster. Thankfully, you can just store it away on her backpack. This tab plugs into here. I guess the slightest props for Takara for finding a use for this shit. And for her final accessory, a Transformers the movie reference. Very nice. This actually plugs into her car mode, and you could even store most of the weapons on the car mode. Just one more reason to like her car mode. And at least one reason to like the robot mode. The colors are nice, the paint job is durable, and the figure is actually pretty solid. While the backpack does look incomplete and barely anything snaps in, it's all held together by friction, so at least it doesn't undo itself, even though it already looks undone. And the figure's main saving grace, as far as I'm concerned, Just when I was about to say something good, the backpack presents another reason why it fucking sucks! Decent attempt to make the feet as wide as possible. They're also made of die-cast metal for that little bit of extra weight, but it does not do a good job at holding up the backpack. But it's not impossible. You just gotta make her do the Michael Jackson. There you go! Very appropriate for someone who looks like Michael. Anyway, the figure's main saving grace is the posability. Ball joint at the head. Every ball joint can be a swivel. Hinge joint at the neck. She could look up pretty far, and she could look down pretty far. Butterfly joint. Arm moves all the way up. Rotation at the arm. Impossible to get a 360 rotation for obvious reasons. Bicep swivel. Double bend at the elbow. Wrist swivel. Hinge joint here. Hinge joint at the thumb. Hinge joint at the index finger. And a hinge joint at the rest of her fingers. Ball joint at the chest, which doubles as her waist swivel. That's how low her chest is. She's got an arcing back and a limited ab crunch. And for a figure that's obviously supposed to be sexy, how could she not have a perfectly horizontal, beautiful spread? That's like horny figure 101. Come on, Takara. Rotation of the leg. Can't move back at all. Pretty good kick, but it could get better if you push the inside of her thigh and continue to bend it up. That activates the mid-thigh's hinge joint, and of course that allows for some sassy poses. This would be a lot more fun if it wasn't so terrifying. Mid-thigh swivel, double bend at the knee, up and down at the ankle, a toe bend, and a damn good ankle pivot. The articulation here is actually pretty great, and she has the proper joint tolerances to back up some dynamic poses. It's just too bad that this figure is this figure. So the best thing I could say about the MP-51 Arcee is that she's a fully functioning Transformers figure. She's got a good looking alternate mode, a transformation that's not quite difficult, but it's not fun either. In fact, it's a freaking chore, and definitely doesn't result in a satisfying robot mode. So if it wasn't for the solidity and the posability, this thing would be complete garbage. But before we get into the score, size comparison time. Here's Monica, Godzilla, Prime, the big Firebird Nice, who was scary for different reasons, and the Masterpiece Hot Rod from a while back. Just to show you how far we've fallen. We live in a world where this little shit gets a better Masterpiece figure than Arcee. She deserves better. If you really want a Masterpiece style Arcee for your collection, I'd recommend going for the Mastermind Creations Azalea. That figure is more concerned with capturing Arcee's character rather than her curves. And also her face won't keep you up at night. Let's banish this thing back to hell where she belongs and get ready for next week's Failbox stream. Use hashtag JobbytheHong, by the way. Also, you get a card, stats on the back. Stats are about what you'd expect for a woman.